What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Grind Force Gaming. Nova here again, and of course, we have DatSkat with us. What's going on, DatSkat?
What's up, guys? How we all doing?
We have a really cool video for you guys today. We've been talking about doing this for a couple weeks now, and we just sat down and talked about this again for like 2 hours because this is kind of a difficult concept to cover because there are so many ways to do this. And we wanted to make this as free to play friendly as possible and try to take a lot of different things into consideration, like not just the free to play avenue, but just the time it takes to build fighters. So what we have here is a baseline for 3 teams to build based on early and mid game content and what you want to be using for just really any 3-team composition builds when you're kind of still working on upgrading some of the baseline fighters. So with that being said, we have this set up in a way where we've got support fighters we've considered, we've got DPS we've considered, control, we've got tanks that we've thought about, and we also have some possible fighters at the bottom, which you see some assist options as well. So DatSkat, talk to me about Team 1. Why is this the first priority, and why is this such a good team?
Okay, Nova. I love Team 1. I think for campaign, that team right there is going to give you the most bang for your buck. Now, depending on the campaign node that you're fighting, maybe you need some healing, maybe you need some shields, maybe you need damage now. So I'll interchange any of those C1s of Team 1, 2, and 3.
And those C1s being Elena, Abel, and Street Poison. If you haven't seen, real quick here, Scat, if you haven't seen our C1 video, because we're not going to dive like into the skills here too much. If you have not seen our C1 fighter video, we made a video about the best C1 fighters in the game currently. I will put a card up here at the top for you guys, and you can check that out so you can get a better handle on that. Okay, anyway, Scat, go ahead.
Yes. So with Guile being on Team 1, I think he's probably the first character that any new to Street Fighter Duel player should build because of his accessibility.
Yeah.
And the fact that he is one of the highest DPS units in the game.
Yep.
And is a powerhouse. And I love Guile. And yes,
crazy damage.
Crazy damage.
Armor break, AoE.
Saber
awesome.
stacks, the whole bit. Also, you're probably going to want to 6-vehicle him and FS30 him as one of your, first real long-term investments. You're not going to be disappointed for sure. He and B Zangief with 6 vehicles, I think those are a slam dunk. The only negative to this Team 1 is that you have to build 2 sets of gear. Both Guile and B Zangief have the same gear.
This is true.
However, I think it's just part of the grind.
Yeah.
It just really is. You got to do it.
They also, I don't want to say they don't shine, but I'm going to say they don't like really pop until you get 6 vehicles on both of them.
Guile especially.
That's
and
the
boy,
other thing.
does he
So
pop.
It's
he
quite an
pops
investment.
Hard. Yeah.
But this is a tried and true team. I mean, the power of this, the usability, it's not debated. Like, This is an incredible team. And like Scat said, if you do need some healing, if your damage is fine, you're just lacking in survivability, you can take Elena here off of Team 2 and swap her for Street Poison. And that's fine. Totally fine.
And if you need to throw up a shield to get around an enemy team's assassin, then Abel's your man. And they're just coming out of the C1.
Correct.
So I'll also point out that any character that you see on the screen for Team 1, 2, and 3, fair game to build, guys.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be disappointed by building any of these. I would say maybe Zangief, E Honda, and Chun-Li are probably the least priority out of all of the fighters.
I would agree with that.
But build all of them.
I would agree with that.
Yep.
And on Team 1 here, we've got Bison. So people might be wondering, like, this is supposed to be free to play. Bison's a divination. He's an infernal. Why is he there?
Yep. Well, he's there because as you progress in the game, you will unlock Bison. And the second you do, you need to be going for him. He
Yeah.
is the first divination pull that you need to be going for. Get him to SS before you even think about stopping.
Yeah.
Um, Now, if you want to get him to SS and then focus on somebody else for a little bit, that's a viable strategy. However, you're going to want to eventually get him to SSS, but I think as a beginner or as you go through the mid game, getting him to SS will take you a long, long way.
It will.
So
But
that should be the goal.
the plus side to him is that while he is a little bit hard to obtain, he is usable at an A grade because he will
Yeah.
not get knocked out until everyone else on your team has been knocked out. So he can serve just as a tank that just constantly gets knocked out and resurrects. You can use him
Yep.
at an A grade and he's going to deal,
Yep.
some damage for you, but he's going to continue to soak up damage. That's what makes him so good. And that's why, because you'll notice he's the only divination fighter that's put in this lineup as of this moment right now.
Correct.
That's for that reason.
And this is we're speaking to the beginner players and the intermediate players. If you don't want or don't have Bison, you're getting your way through the early game. I would put Abel in there. Build Abel as your main tank for the early game.
Yes.
I think he's the best. His C1 is really strong, but just having him out there out front is really good too.
Yeah, of course.
So if you still want to use Street Poison, you can still throw him out front for just a little extra damage soaking up and not have him in the combo slot.
The other option as well, just based on fodder use and faction concerns here, is that this is all wind faction. If you do Abel, like he's wind also, that's okay. If you use all of your faction tokens for wind fodder or use all of your specified B grade cards to get wind, like that's okay. You can do it. You can pull it off in the early game. But if you wanted to, you could do E Honda instead just to use a different faction.
That's exactly who I was going to say too. Out of all these fighters, E Honda over Zangief.
And E Honda and Elena pair very well together because E Honda does his own healing.
Mm-hmm.
She does healing. You'll learn very quickly in events and things like that when you come up against these two, it's tough.
Yep.
It's tough. So with regards to the question some of you may have had about Bison being in this lineup, let's go ahead and just hit team 2 and tackle the fact that Fashion Blanca's in this one.
Well, let me say one more thing about the team 1, and that would just simply state the combo string. So you would go Guile, Street Poison, Beast Zangief, Guile.
Yes. And that's because Beast Zangief has interrupt and stun on his C2. It pulls everybody in.
And it pulls everybody in.
It allows Guile to hit everybody with his C3.
It's really important to run Beast Zangief and Guile. Those are the two you cannot sub out of that lineup.
Correct.
You can sub the tank out, you can sub the C1 out, but you cannot sub those two out. They work together. They're a pair of guys. Build them. You're gonna love them. Keep them together.
Totally agree.
Yep.
All right, team 2, Scat, hit me with it. What's Fashion Blanca doing in here? He's a legendary fighter.
He's a legendary fighter, but free to play friendly. You will get him by logging in. So if you're a beginner player and you're like, I can't even get Fashion Blanca, you will get him. Keep logging in.
Yep.
So
he is free to obtain, and he is a powerhouse.
Super good unit.
You just need patience.
So for this lineup, I do Fashion Blanca, Elena, Fashion Blanca again, and then Dulcim to finish it out.
Yep.
And I like having Elena on this lineup just for her heal to keep Dulcim healthy. In the early game, Dulcim's a little weak. He's going to be your weakest link on this team.
He's still kind of really weak in the mid and early late game too, I think. He's just kind of a glass cannon a little bit. I don't want to say that because he does have survivability, but DatSkat's correct. You need someone to help bolster that because he will be the first one to die.
Yep, and I like it better than Abel because it's a continuous boost where Abel's shielding is a little more conditional. Like yes, you're going to mitigate one hit, but what if the enemy team is doing a combo that has 10 hits?
Right.
Like,
Right.
you're only,
Yep.
So I like having the sustain of the healing effect out of Elena rather than Abel, which is
Correct.
why I put Abel down on the third.
Yep. And as you build Elena more, her C1 actually turns into not only just one quick burst heal, but a heal over time as well.
It's really good. She's really good, guys. Yep.
Best healer in the game by far.
I still to this day think that's true. Maybe Summer Yang takes her a little bit because he's also putting a shield up.
Okay. Possible.
But I don't know.
Possible.
I like Elena so much. She's
we have
so good.
him we have him down
He's also
here.
giving you speed and defense and a whole bunch of other stuff too.
Yeah. We've got him down here. Summer Yang's down here in the possible fighters. You can swap him in. It kind of depends in the early game. This is why this is so tough, because you don't really have much control in the early game over who you're getting.
Right.
So you got to kind of build who you get. Otherwise, you can't progress. So these are possibilities that you can use here. The reason we have Zangief in here is for the passive doing the flat reduction in damage that's coming in. That pairs very well with the healing here.
Yep.
Combo chain for this one's going to be Fashion Blanca, Elena, Fashion Blanca, and then Dulcine.
Correct. Yep. That's exactly right.
You can use Zangief C2 if you have him at 6 vehicles, because then his C2 nullifies passives for 8 seconds.
So if you have to get through a Bison, and you're gonna rip him with Dulcine's C3. That's a really good way to do it, guys.
It is. It's amazing. Currently, there are only 2 fighters in the game that nullify passives, to my knowledge. One is Zangief, who's a regular faction fighter, and the other is a special summon, Infernal, and that's Evil Ryu. Very tough to get.
I like Evil Ryu though, so
I do too. But that's a long play. He doesn't make this. That's late. That's late game.
Yep.
So, okay. How about Team 3? This was kind of the tougher one to build, I think, in my opinion, because when you go like strictly free to play and you try to avoid the divination fighters, then it becomes kind of hard to like put 3 teams together, in my opinion.
It really does. So when I was thinking about Team 3, I was kind of populating it with fighters that I know that I'm going to want to build anyway.
Sure.
Because if you're in the early and mid game, you're not really playing 3 strong teams. You're playing 2 strong teams.
Sure.
And then you have fighters that can be subbed in and out of alternate teams in order to give you something. And Team 3 is consistent of all of those fighters. So you have Abel, which is the substitute C1.
Yep.
C Viper, which is a backline substitute for the Guile play.
Yep.
Chun-Li, just because she's very versatile.
Yes.
And she ends up doing a lot of damage for you.
Yeah.
And then E Honda, because he's going to be your alternate tank. So
yeah, as well as your alternate interrupter. E Honda can interrupt on his C1. Now the problem is the point fighter needs to be doing a skill in order for him to do it, or you have to catch someone crossing that line. He's not doing an AoE stun, so he's not doing an AoE interrupt. He's doing single target interrupt, so the timing is a little bit different than B Zangief, but nonetheless, his C1 has an interrupt mechanic.
Okay. Now, so that's my free-to-play friendly list, guys. I think that's very reasonable. If you see any of these fighters, or you start building any of these fighters, or you have the option to get any of these fighters, get them.
Yeah.
They're really, really good. They're going to serve you well. They're just awesome troops to have.
Yeah, agreed. And I think so. Well, Team 3, did we do?
We didn't do the order.
We didn't do the order. So, you're going to do C Viper.
Yep.
Either one of these. You can do either Abel or E Honda for C1.
Yep.
Then you're going to do, you can interchange these actually. You could do, so you could do Super, C1, you can pick, C2, you can pick between Chun-Li and C Viper, and then C3, you can honestly, whatever one you didn't use for the other. It's up to you.
Well, yeah. Or if you need some bullet walls, then Honda
Yep.
C3 is really good too.
Yeah,
If
Honda
you need
C3
some
is good. You
extra
have some good
protection.
flexibility with Team 3.
Yep.
It's a
And
good
that's kind
versatile
of why
lineup.
I liked it rather than putting Cammy up there or Summer Yang up
Sure.
there.
Sure.
Like, yeah, you can, if you get them, build them, but
Right. And every team that you're fighting might require something different too. So it's okay to like swap one of these, fighters out as
yep.
needed for a different one because they bring something to the table that you need or that will help you a little bit more. So
So,
yeah,
and that's the free to play part of this.
sure.
But now, Nova, let's say
Oh,
that
one thing I wanted to note that I almost
okay.
forgot. In the early game, when you don't have Fashion Blanca because you're not going to have him yet, you can use regular poison.
Yep.
You can use regular poison in that lineup and it will be fine for you. You might be wondering why isn't Mad Ryu in here? You can use him. He can fill that spot too. You can put him here. But he falls off really hard.
He falls off really hard, guys. He doesn't have enough oomph.
You're better off using that fodder on somebody else.
Correct.
My opinion. Okay, so now, yes, scat. The fun part.
Well, that's my opinion too on Mad Ryu, by the way. I don't think he's that good.
No, overrated.
So now let's say that I've gotten Bison to SSS. I did well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm moving on to my divination. And I want to start putting some Infernal and Masterclass fighters into these lineups.
Let's do it. This is going to be fun.
Okay. So I think that
this is more like mid to like intro late game.
Yep. If you're just finishing Bison and you didn't start Sagat already,
okay,
then I would go for Summer Ibuki.
Yes. She just released a week ago. Yeah,
yep.
something like that.
And what I would do is I would put her in that second lineup.
Okay. Would you swap Elena?
No. I would take Zanki. Oh, I'm sorry. I would put her in the third lineup.
Okay.
And take either Abel or E Honda out.
Okay.
And just really get that Sea Viper lineup.
Let's take Abel out.
Let's take Abel out and put E Honda in. Okay.
So one thing to note about these two as well is it depends on what you need because you can swap out E Honda or Abel because both E Honda and Abel have amazing assist skills.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't want to use them in the lineup, you can have either one of them assisting and they're going to do a great job for you there as well. It's very common to see people using Abel as the assist on Guile, keeping him alive, giving him some shielding. It's also not uncommon to see E Honda in there because his assist skill at level 5, when you get him to SS, you get his FS plus 5. He's doing an 8% damage reduction for everyone on the field.
Pretty good. That's really good, guys.
It's pretty good. So you have some flexibility with those two fighters.
Okay. Yeah. So, but I like Summer Ibuki in that lineup because she really gets Sea Viper going.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. You have a lot of speed. That's a fast team, and Sea Viper, being someone who attacks the back line, constantly is basically negating the entire purpose of using a Bison or using a Sagat, which is to be someone in the front of the lineup, soaking up all the damage and making it hard to hit the enemy DPS fighter.
Yeah, alternatively, gosh, you could put her, you could take Elena out of Team 2 and put her in.
You could.
You really could.
You could. You'd be losing your heal there, which makes the use of Dulcim a little bit more difficult. So you might want to put him in the tag then. Like, let's say, for example, we do that. We bring Elena down here. You might want to run it. This way. So he's in the tag now. So that can help him stay alive.
Okay.
But you might be getting less damage out of him then because he's not going to do his yoga tower, and you're not going to get wildfire stacks on him from Fashion Blanca. It's a trade-off.
Well, does Summer Ibuki, here's my question. Does she need to be on the field, or can I have her in the tag?
That I don't know. I don't have her yet. I don't know because she's a non-slotted C1, C2.
Yeah.
And by that I mean her skills automatically trigger when somebody else triggers those skills. That's one of the things that makes her so awesome. And she is like doing crazy speed boosting for your team.
Yeah.
The only other fighter that does this is Evil Ryu, and he's much harder to get than she is.
Yeah. I'm checking that out. I'm gonna do a quick search because I think that's really important. But let's talk about the other divination character that you should be going for.
Okay.
I think after Bison, of course, is Sagat.
Yep.
And I would replace Zangief on that team 2 with him.
Okay. I like that. I like that play. That makes that team quite formidable.
Keeping Elena in there and putting Sagat up front?
Well, this is with Summer Ibuki in there still.
Okay,
but
so
you could put Elena in there if you wanted. I mean, at this point, Team 2, I've got Dulcim, Summer Ibuki, Fashion Blanca, Sagat. Team 3, I've got Elena, Sea Viper, Chun-Li, and E Honda. Which is always nice pairing these two together. But it's also nice pairing Elena with Sagat.
What if you did?
Tell me.
On Team 2.
Okay.
You put Abel out front. Fashion Blanca as a combo starter. And then Dulcim and Summer Ibuki.
You could do that. That negates the need for 2 divination fighters on Team 2. I think that would be good. We're still lacking healing. But you could always allocate X moves that do healing onto Team 2, and that would be helpful. But it's tough to say.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to look up.
It's okay. Don't worry about looking that up right now. I believe the trigger skills do happen out of the tag. The issue that happens is that the passives sometimes have issues with being in the tag versus being on the field, and it's never really that clear in skill descriptions on if on the field includes the tag position and only excludes the assist position. Sometimes wording is not clear. This was an issue that we just had with Summer Yang. His passive was not working the way that it was supposed to be doing. We are currently having that issue with Athlete Chun-Li. So it's I understand wanting to look it up, but I think right now the problem overall is just that things aren't being written correctly. Skills are not being described correctly, and therefore skills are not happening correctly, because currently Athlete Chun-Li, her passive does not work when she's in the tag.
Wasn't there also a problem with Jen? With Gen?
Jen has some issues as well. I don't use him. I've never used him. So to be honest with you, off the top of my head, I can't tell you what that problem is, but it's still ongoing.
Okay, so I just found something out here.
Okay.
I looked up Summer Ibuki's passive, and it just multiplies her damage. So I would put her in the tag and put Dulcim, because the whole point of putting her out there is to provide speed to that team.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then I would keep Sagat on Team 3. I would move Sagat as the tank for Team 3.
Okay. Take E Honda out.
Yep.
Pretty good team. The only thing would be just the Chun-Li at some point. We got to move her out of there, right? To get a good C2 in, I think Rose would be a great option. Her C2 does healing, it does team buffing, it does enemy team debuffing as well.
Well, I would be using Sea Viper's C2. No, Sea Viper's C3 is what you want, right?
Yeah, either or. So, but this brings some additional healing. And that could honestly allow you to even move Elena up into T2 or into Team 2, because then you'd have healing on those two. You'd really only be lacking healing on Team 1, so you could allocate all of your healing X moves to that team just to help.
Yeah, that's true.
But this is pretty good.
Let's talk about some other possible fighters, though.
Okay.
Like Athlete Chun-Li, we went back and forth about this character because right now she has an issue, right?
Correct. And the issue is that in the tag, her passive does not work. Her C1 still works, but her passive is based on her C1. So even though her wind vortex is on the field, if she's in the tag position, her passive does not take effect.
Okay. And a lot of people think that that's a mistake by design, in design, so they need to fix her. Is that correct?
The thought is that it's supposed to.
Okay.
Now, it very well could be that way on purpose, and you are supposed to have her out on the field. And if that's the case, then you just have to build her so she can survive being out there. But her fighting spirit, her C1 and her passive are very good.
Hmm.
Very good, but you have to pair her with master and win faction fighters only.
Okay, so
So
she's more of a long play.
she's a long play. I think it's valid to have her in the possible fighters, but I don't think that you should be drawing for her in divination yet. Bison is first priority. It's a coin toss between Summer Ibuki and Sagat.
Hmm.
And then after that, you can build somebody else. But at this point,
Yeah.
I would maybe say if you're already there, maybe go for T Cammy if you haven't. Rose is an interesting one. You don't need to draw for her in divination. There are enough opportunities to get her for free in the game. You can get her in the shop. You can get her from fighter choice, like special fighter choice chests sometimes. You can get her from events sometimes. So, in my opinion, you can get her passively with time and spend your divination gems or your divination tickets on other fighters.
Yeah, and honestly, by the time that you get done with Bison and Summer Ibuki or Sagat in whatever order, but I think those are the first three,
Yeah.
you might be far enough in the game where you're like, you know what? I need an awesome boss character.
Yeah.
Like, not boss character as an awesome, but boss fighting character,
Yeah.
like Trendy Cammy.
Trendy Cammy is incredible for that.
And I think that I would do Trendy Cammy before Athlete Chung Lee. I think, but I think Athlete Chung Lee, like, she's really good.
Yeah. Currently, right
But
now, if you build her and you keep her on the field, she's great.
Yep.
But honestly, though, regardless of her passive and everything, you need her fighting spirit for her to like really, really, really be good.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
got to get her to SS anyway. So
That's a lot. That's true with a lot of characters, though.
yeah, I have her at SS. I keep her on the field. It works. It works in 3-team situations. She does a great job. But it
Yeah.
would be amazing to put her in the tag
Yeah, I agree.
because she's not doing
Okay.
damage. She's not dealing damage on her C1. So you don't need her out there.
So
But
let's quick talk about some possible assist options because we only have a few out on our little chart there, but I think that we can fill out a few more. So a lot of these
yeah.
possible fighters, you're gonna want throwing us into the assist,
Yep.
like Cammy
Yep.
should be assisting Beast Zangief
Yep.
or Bison,
It
but
is.
probably Beast Zangief.
It's pretty much a rule that Team 1 has a Cammy assist.
Yep,
Pretty much
because
a rule.
it affects how fast Guile builds these stacks of armor break and saber and defense reduction, which is how that whole team works,
Yes.
and
Yep.
you need it.
Correct.
Um,
So
Fei
we'll put her
Long
down here.
needs to be on team assisting team 2.
Correct.
Like that needs to happen.
Yep. His assist skill increases flame and burn damage as long as the assisted fighter stays alive.
Yep. So put him on Fashion Blanca probably.
Yep. Agreed.
Or alternatively, if you did purchase, this is pay to win now, guys, but if you did purchase Flame Chung Li, she's a really good assist character as well.
Yes, she is. Very, very good assist character.
However, that's totally beside the point. So let's not even go there. Summer Yang's assist is really good for Dulcim for some survivability.
Okay. Yep. I can see that. He can go right here.
Yep.
And then we already talked about E Honda, right? Currently, we don't even have him on the lineup. So E Honda can go into assist and he can assist any team that you need survivability on.
Yeah, and I think Team 3 would be great for that.
Yeah.
So I might even just throw Zangief down there as well. And then we're just missing one assist fighter to put on the field, and that's the second assist fighter to Team 1. So here's something interesting, is that Team 1 doesn't need any more speed, guys. It's really fast.
Yep.
And one thing I've been doing is messing around with Chung Li's extra crit damage that she provides.
Okay.
So I might even take Chung Li out of Team 3 and put her as assisting on Team 1.
Okay. I have her out of Team 3 already, actually. I swapped in Rose.
You swapped in Rose. Okay.
Yeah, because Team 3's looking pretty mean right now. It's Sagat, Rose, Viper, and Elena. You've got 2 sets of healing going on. You've got Sagat, who's already really difficult to take down, and he heals himself. And it's basically just
Wow.
making Viper do like crazy damage with a lot of survivability.
Yep. Another alternative is Poison.
Yep, correct.
Poison works if you were building her.
Yep.
But honestly, Trendy Cammy is really strong in this role too.
Yeah.
She just does a lot of damage, guys. Rose would be sweet though, because that adds that heal, the double heal.
Yeah,
but
Rose
I might be
awesome.
looking for a little more punch with Poison.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she's dealing damage on her C2. It's not a lot.
It's some silence and Sagat on his C3 does shock damage.
Okay. Yeah.
And inflicts shock, which Poison will also be doing out of her C2 position.
Right. So I mean,
you do.
The options are endless, right?
Right.
That's what made this so hard. Like that's what made making this video so tough, because like I didn't want to approach this any one specific way, because you need to think about early game. You need to think about how you're going to transition into mid and late game.
Yep.
But this Team 1, like, just build it.
Build Team 1.
Build it. You have to. It is tried and true. It is guaranteed to do well for you. If you need healing and you don't need as much damage, swap out Street Poison, put Elena in there. If you need some shielding, swap in Abel. You know, you have the ability to play around with this team a lot. And it's honest, it's tough to do the whole assist chat here, because in the early and mid game, like most people, you're not going to, unless you're paid to win, you're not going to have these fighters at their SS anyway. So you're not getting a special assist skill from them. So all you really need to do is just put your strongest fighter that you're not using up there to get the highest percentage stat boost.
Correct.
But it's a tough conversation to have, right? Like I still struggle with my lineup. We've been playing since the beginning of the game. I still struggle with 3 teams. Like, what do I do? Who do I use for these? How do I balance these out?
Yeah.
It's tricky.
It's tricky, guys, but any fighter up on that screen, it's fair game, guys.
Yeah.
Now, Yin and Yang down there, they're supplying some speed.
Yep. Supplying some damage.
Really, really nice.
Supplying some speed from the assist position. Their C1 and their C1 for both of them is very good as well. You can swap one of them in for Elena or Street Poison as an example. If you just want like, I don't remember which one. One of them increases trigger skill damage. The other one increases crit rate. I don't remember which one.
I think one's crit damage and the other one's crit rate.
One's trigger skill for sure.
One also does trigger skill.
And then Blanca is great for like counterattack. If you want to use him in the assist position, he pairs super well with Nero, but Nero's very pay to win. He's also not in the game anymore.
I can't verify that because I haven't tested it yet.
Right. In theory.
I need to get 6 vehicles on Nero, and I need to put Blanca as the assist for him.
Yeah.
I want to see if that then triggers his.
It should. It should, but that's a whole.
In my mind, that works, but I haven't tested it yet.
Yeah.
A video to come, guys. A video to come.
The only one we haven't talked about here is Decapre. Decapre can go in as a possible fighter. It's good to have her in the tag. Her C1 is what you would be using. It deals pretty decent damage. It also triggers execute, and if the fighter that she hits does not get knocked out, she decreases their attack by 20%?
It's a lot.
15 seconds.
And so what I do is put her as C1 with my C Viper team.
Yep.
Because that really disrupts their damage dealer, which will be the back line.
Well, and she automatically attacks the lowest HP. So what happens is C Viper hits their DPS fighter, deals a lot of damage. If it doesn't knock them out, Decapre goes in and hits that exact same fighter, and if it still doesn't knock out that DPS unit, she decreases their attack by 20%.
Yeah, she needs to be up there too.
It's
And
amazing.
her assist is actually really. I know it only triggers once every 20 seconds. So in
Yeah.
an 80-second fight, it only triggers 3 times. But
Yeah.
there have been some campaign nodes where DeCapre's come out right on that last second or that last 20 seconds and gotten the victory for me.
Yeah, sure.
It's been awesome.
Yeah, so you could even, like, just for fun here, let's take Elena out. Let's put DeCapre in here because you're already getting heal with Rose.
Yep.
And now let's put Elena. Man, let's put I don't even know. You could put Elena anywhere then. I want to put her into team 2 because I just want to see that heal in there. But
Well,
it's tough to make that placement.
So here's an alternative.
I mean, Fashion Blanca's a tank, right? So
Yeah, but you don't want him tanking for you. So
but you could maybe with a ton of speed from Summer Ibuki. A lot of speed from her, you'd be going, your skills would be going off a lot. There'd be a lot of healing. That could work. Tough to say. Tough to say, though.
I don't think it'd be enough, but I haven't tested it.
Yeah, same. Me neither.
Okay. But that's why I like Abel.
That's why I like exactly Abel my point.
That's why I like Abel on team 2,
yeah.
because he throws up the shield, so there's some level of sustain. You could put, and he's the tank, so he has a dual purpose there.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
I was thinking about putting Sagat, Summer, Ibuki in the same lineup.
It's a hard build.
And maybe you do Sagat, Summer, Ibuki, Sea Viper, and Poison.
Yeah, I mean, the options are... There's no one right way to do it, you know?
Then you put Elena back in the Dulcim team.
Depends on who you have. It depends on who you're fighting. Different fighters combat other teams better than others. So it's, you know, it's kind of tough. This is a difficult one to make, but I feel pretty good about it.
You know, guys, it's fun to play around. This is what these types of games are all about. Maximizing your options, and your options are what you have to play with. So
and playing around with it is part of the fun.
But if you're looking to build any of these fighters on the screen, go for it.
Yeah.
I think coming out of the early game, you should prioritize that team 1 though.
Yeah. I think every fighter you see on the screen right now is consideration for building it. I would just say that if I were to like just kind of maneuver these around a little bit, I would say the fighters on in the assist options right now, these would be your lowest priority. And that would be Yun and Yang, Fei Long, and Blanca. Fei Long you can maybe put up here. Fei Long is an incredible pairing for Fashion Blanca and Dulcim, but you don't really build a lot of Flame Faction fighters, so there's no rush. You're just going to have the fodder for him.
Yeah.
So you can put him down here as low priority.
Yeah, when you're building Flame, you should build.
Yeah, you're going to accidentally build him anyway. I mean, look at these 3 lineups. Yeah. How many Flame Factions do we have? 2. Dulcim and Sea Viper.
Yep.
As like staples for teams. So, you know, as opposed to Wind, we've got 4 up there right now. So, yeah, Fei Long will get built automatically. But anyway, guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I'd love to see some comments come in, letting me know what you think about these lineups, other lineups that you've tried out in the early and mid game that have worked well for you.
Yeah, and please comment, guys. We will respond.
We will.
And it will be awesome because we just need to keep this conversation going.
Yeah, for sure. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it. Skat, thanks for helping out with the video.
Yeah, man, of course. All the time.
Be sure to hit the subscribe. Stay tuned for the next videos, and we will see you guys on the next one. Cheers.
Later.